And joining us now is Dr. David Baum, who was at the parade and immediately began treating victims. Dr. Baum, I know you were an obstetrician. You had delivered so many of the babies in this town. You know so many people. Talk to me about your reactions. What were you doing when you heard the shooting?
You know, I went there with my family, with my wife, my 3 kids, my son-in-law, and my grandson. My grandson was pushing his little lawnmower through the children's parade. Thank God that finished, and then the normal, Highland Park fire truck and the search and rescue came through. The Highland Park marching band came through. And then, there was a little lull, and then there was this, horrible sound that everyone's heard, the X number of shots that sounded like a howitzer. If I'm dating myself, that's okay. And then people started screaming, bodies down, bodies down. So, that's when this community changed forever. So, it's not supposed to happen at a parade, but the fact that, there's, again, access to, I have a 24-year-old son who, when I went to try and help out, he came and he said, Dad, I don't want to leave you. He was worried about me, but he said, I want to try and help. And I said, Matthew, you need to leave now. Get out of here. Well, my son's 24. Okay. He can't rent a car. Okay. He's legal to drink for 3 years. But at 18, when he graduated high school, he could have gotten a gun that's made for warfare. And, when a gun winds up in somebody who's got some kind of mental illness, and it's happened all across the country, you can't treat those people with a pill. Those young people, they're at that age, there's a lot to fix. But, over their 22 years, they have come to a point where they should not have access to ruin families and ruin, the lives of so many people. So,
Dr. Baum, let me ask you about, your children, your grandchildren. Did you get them to safety before you returned to start treating the wounded?
My wife just grabbed everyone and they started running like everyone else. And I didn't leave because my instinct was not to leave. I waited for the shots to stop. And then there were people on the ground and people were screaming. So, I wasn't the only one. There was, a couple other doctors in the area who were around. There was a nurse. There was a nurse practitioner. And then there were probably other people who were not medical professionals who tried to do what they could do, which was, the people, Andrea, who were killed were blown apart. Okay. The guns, the what I saw, obviously, I don't think you need a description, but traumatic head injury, evisceration of abdominal organs. That's what, those guns and those bullets did to those bodies. The paramedics quickly identified that there were 5 people dead, in one of the areas that received all the injuries. There was 2 areas one across the street. So the people that were there, we were just trying to help calm people down, put pressure on wounds, start an IV or 2. There was nothing heroic about what happened because the people who died were killed instantly by somebody on a perch with a high-powered rifle. The injuries were horrific, Andrea. And, I don't think I need any more description other than to say, nobody needs to see them. Everyone who was there didn't need to see the injuries. They just had to hear the gunfire and then ran for their lives to realize the country that we live in.
Well, you didn't run for your life. You turned to try to treat people. And so I can just disagree with you saying that there was nothing heroic, but all of you who helped.
I don't consider it heroic. The only thing that's come out of this is an opportunity to talk to people like you who seem to care a lot about what's happening in this country, because families are at risk. And, people are at risk. Families are at risk. Doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter the people who are intent on, inflicting damage do it in grocery stores, and they do it in schools, and now they do it at parades again. Actually, at the beginning of the parade, I was more worried about somebody, in a pickup truck driving the wrong way. And those are things that, unfortunately, after what happened in Wisconsin last year, I think about. So, I just yesterday, I felt like I had a lot of adrenaline, and I was not sure, what I was feeling. But today I'm just horribly, horribly, horribly sad. And I feel sick to my stomach. And, I feel like everyone has to kind of just commit that this is so unacceptable that an 18-year-old can have access. Families are responsible for their kids, whether they're 18 or they're 21 on some level. People have responsibility to try to, protect their children from doing horrible things like this. And I feel like families are not held accountable the way they should be.
Dr.
We
David Baum.
saw that in that Detroit killing, Andrea, where the parents, led, which was, cowardly and, irresponsible. But why are families not more accountable for the acts of these, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds?
Very, very good question. My heart, all of us are thinking about you and the people of your community. I know you have the resources and clearly can help others, but you have to help yourself too. Everyone is hurting. This is not going to go away. The mayor said that the community will never be the same.
I agree.
Thank you.
Okay, Andrea, thank you for giving me the opportunity.